Hello and welcome to an overview of the new Student Mimic Pro. And today we're just going to go through the first couple of rounds and how to best position yourself for success. I'm not going to actually do the rounds, but I am going to walk through kind of how they work and some of the things to pay attention to as you go through it. Now, for a more detailed overview, be sure to watch the videos and all of the instructions that come with the Simternship, as they like to call it. Now, my overview here is going to be more based on just my experience here in going through it as both a student or someone who completes it, and also the professor who scores them at the end. So we'll go ahead and dig in here. So I skipped over most of the introduction. There's a video, there's an email. You are put into you're simulating being in a company where you're selling backpacks. The company is called Bowie, and the goal of this whole Simternship here is to use digital marketing techniques to sell as many backpacks as possible online. And we begin here with a lot of the marketing work that has already been completed for you. You are more of the person who's executing the strategy, not somebody who's actually setting it. And I really like how this is set up because all of the content is here for you. You are the one that has to tie together all of the variables to solve the puzzle and to sell as much as possible. This is a B2C company, and there's a lot of advertising that goes in here. Before we dig into the profiles here, just look at the rounds. You have 3 rounds of search ads. You have 3 rounds of display ads. You have 3 rounds of shopping ads, and then you have one last round of optimizing the campaign. Now, each round, I should say set of rounds is broken into 3. So you have an introduction, you have practice, then you have optimizing. What that essentially means is you have 3 rounds to put your best foot forward in terms of the type of ads that you're putting out there. But there is more to it than just creating ads. There is a landing page. There's the keyword development. There's a lot that goes into this. There's making sure that you're matching up customer profiles. It's more than just advertising. Now, at its most basic form, I don't love that it's based on this, but at the same time, it does bring together a lot of the good elements of the course that you get exposed to in the Digital Marketing Essentials textbook. So let's dig in here. Let's start with the customer profiles. This is pretty important. You can always go back to these people, but just remember that when you are creating anything, you're creating an ad campaign, you're creating a landing page, whatever it is that you're doing, you want to make sure that you're creating for one of these people. From what I've seen, it doesn't really matter what. Obviously, use your best judgment, but just remember all of these different elements that go into these people. So remember, there's Back to School Mindy, City Hopper Sue, my favorite, Daypacker Tom, and Up and Comer Raj, Energetic Jill, Seaside Sally, and then Hipster Mom, Cami, I don't know. But there's several people here, right? There's 7 of them. There used to just be 4. It used to just be Mindy, Sue, Tom, and Raj, and then they added Jill, Sally, and Hipster Mom here recently, it looks like. You don't have to memorize these people. Just remember that you can go back to these, but all of the things that you're creating, all of the material that you're creating needs to be with a customer profile in mind. Now, you're going to go through the annual website traffic and sales report here. There's not a lot that you really need to remember, that you need to really take into consideration. I will say here, this is interesting because you look at traffic by product type. You probably don't want to spend much time trying to sell pouches. Backpacks and totes are the big ones. I've seen a lot with duffel bags and travel bags, but that's more because of the the content that I have at my disposal. Um, Also, this doesn't really matter. Nothing crazy. You get to the bottom, and then once this is blacked out, you can just go to start next round. All right, just went through the introduction. You can watch the video, but what you're going to be going here is you have your assignments now here for round one. Here are kind of what I would do here for the rounds is just kind of go through the list. We'll go through what you're supposed to do. I will say, hitting these two goals is really not hard. Just remember here that when you're looking at everything in general, first off, the number one thing is you are competing against your classmates. So it's not just, it's not just like, there's not just like one thing that we're setting as a goal, but you are competing with your classmates on the KPIs that are set for the simulation. Now, unlike what I previously believed, it's my understanding now that the simulation is based off of, first and foremost, the sheer revenue that is driven by the simulation. It is, there was a time when it was weighted and it was based on other types of engagements, but it's my understanding at the end that it is largely based on revenue. So knowing that, you want to think about how can you do the best in terms of selling the content. That it could be wrong. It could be partially based on clicks. I think, I actually, now that I'm reading this, I actually think that the scores differ based on round. I believe the first couple rounds, it is based on clicks. Now that I'm seeing this, it's been a while since I've actually looked at the scores, but the other thing on this too is that a lot of students have trouble with getting any sort of results, and that's because they need to make sure to pick keywords that come into this. And so here's what you do. Let's just jump in here, right? You have your email again to start. They'll give you some ideas. You can take a look at that, look at the product. And then you get some emails, messages, take a look at them. These are more of like testing your understanding of the material. It is something to do, but it's not part of the core Simternship. Here's a walkthrough for how to best pick the keywords. I would highly recommend watching it, and how to build the landing page. This is the web page where your visitors go after they click on the search ad or the shopping ad or the video ad, whatever the ad is that you're running. This is very important. This is not something to skip over, because a successful sale will require the proper keywords that are matched with the proper ad, like the search ad, like the content of the ad. But then there needs to be a consistent message between what they're searching for, what they're seeing on the search engine results page, and then also what's on the landing page. Then from there, if they're clicking on an ad for a duffel bag, they need to see a duffel bag on the landing page. They shouldn't click on a duffel bag ad and land on a tote or land on a pouch or something. So that's, they'll talk about the landing page builder, how that works, campaign instructions here. And then you go right into building the campaign. So I'm just going to walk through one example of this, and then that'll be it for today. First, you'll set the goal here. Usually I go for sales here, and you can name it whatever you want. So I'll add test one. You need to have a sizable budget. Just remember, round one, I equate it to being about a week. So I usually put about $150. You could go a little bit higher, I think. Well, I guess never mind. Whatever the daily budget max is. You can put it, you don't need a default cost per click. I don't usually put that. I let that work based on the Yeah, I just set them based on the keywords. All right, now you can create multiple ad groups. So we'll call this test group. You do need a default cost per click. I usually just set it to $1, whatever. This can change. Now we're going to be looking for keywords. Now in the keyword piece, this assumes that you've done your research on the product, right? This is the American Dream duffel bag, I believe. So what you'll do is just put in a search and start looking for keywords that you think would work. Here are the recommendations here. First off, you don't want anything that is too broad. Something like duffel bag just by itself is probably not going to work. There's a ton of competition. There's a ton of searches, which is good, but there's way too much competition. And if somebody searches duffel bag, what are they actually looking for? Are they looking to buy a duffel bag? Do they want to learn about what it is? Are they looking for a definition? What is it? This is where the idea of picking a long tail keyword comes into play, where you want it to be a little bit more specific. So if you were to say buy a duffel, and I just leave it as duffel. If you were going to do a buying a duffel bag right now, now the intent is clear. Now you can set up and figure out, okay, what exactly that you're trying to select. When you're in here too, what I like to do is I select an ad group. I create an ad group per persona. So if I have up and comer Raj as my, or we'll go to Daypacker Tom. If Daypacker Tom is my first persona, right? I want to study him, understand him, and know what it is that he is looking for, and then pick the keywords that he would be looking for. So what would Daypacker Tom be looking for? He's a daypacker. He's hiking. So we'll go with buy hiking bag. I don't know. And then pick whatever works. Let's see. So there's all these different options, right? This is where the persona really comes in handy, right? Daypacker Tom doesn't have kids, so you don't need this one. Daypacker Tom doesn't live in the city, so he probably doesn't need, what wouldn't he need here? He probably doesn't need a suitcase. He might need a backpack, but does the duffel bag, is that necessary there? I don't know. Maybe we'll pick it anyways. Does he need a gym bag? Probably not, but pick it anyways. Here's the other thing too, is don't be too selective with your keywords. You are expected to pick up to at least 20 keywords. And the best part about the simulation is that you can optimize it as time goes on. So as the rounds go and you'd be like, oh, okay, that one sucked. You can just go in the next round and remove it and pick a new one. I do think it's important, again, that and if you're going into this thinking, all right, I have one person in mind, and I believe the persona might be selected for you earlier in one of the parts that I skipped over, just make sure that you're focusing on that person, and you'll be selective enough as it is, right? If it's one of the women if your persona is one of the women, right, you're not going to want to do buy men's anything. So that's really the key component there, is understanding how there needs to be a consistent message and a consistent thought process from the persona to the keywords to the ad to the landing page to the product. Again, I don't do the whole select all thing. Again, I didn't do my research here as well, but again, I wouldn't pick this. You can just for the heck of it, but that's not going to be a successful keyword for you. Just, pretty clearly. You could also create keyword lists if you want, but I haven't actually done that before. Now, the last part here, I'm not going to go into the landing page today, but I'm going to go into the creating a search ad. First off, you need to pick a URL. Do you want it to be the actual product page? Do you want it to be the category page, the backpack category page, duffel bag, messenger bag? Do you want it to just be a general category? Like, there's all these different options here. You need to pick the one that you believe is going to be best for the user based on what the ad is. I generally will create a couple different ads one that will go to the category page and one that will go to the product page. From what I've seen, I don't really like there. I'm sure that there is a difference in the algorithm, but I haven't seen any like obvious stark difference between them. It's just important that the URL that you pick, that the messaging in the headline and the description match what the final URL is. So, for example, right, I'm going to the duffel bag category page, right? I need to say something like shop American, like shop all the duffel bag. Like it's clearly not just one product. If I were to, if I'm promoting one specific product here, I then the URL should not be a category. So it's again, we're looking at consistency and making sure that you're matching up the right pieces of content. Also, you can have multiple headlines. I don't create a ton of them. When going through the process here too, think about in the chapters of the courseware, what's some of the verbiage that works for headlines. Obviously, if you put something like free duffel bag, like then you're going to get flagged. Nothing's going to work. But if if you can put a discount in here, buy discounted or premiere, like salesy words here. It doesn't really, it doesn't have to be 100% grammatically correct. I would like it to, just, because of the good practice. But think about what are the things that usually have caught your attention in the past. So, 40% off, today only. And then you can put in a longer description. All American Dream duffel bags. I'm just making this up. Right now I have a description. Here's the thing is that sometimes you can run into issues here. Okay, here we go. We'll just go to continue. And now you have a campaign. I don't usually recommend only having one. I recommend having several campaigns, by the way. Don't just have one campaign. Try to have at least two, if not three. Underneath, you can see once you have it, you can edit it or delete it or create another ad group underneath it. Again, it depends on what the instructions are. If you ever need to, you can always go back to the assignment. All right, that's an overview of the first couple rounds. Just wanted to walk through it again. I'm already getting kind of long on time here, so I'll cut it there. But hopefully this is somewhat helpful. And if you have any questions, for sure, feel free to reach out. If I got anything wrong, factually incorrect, you can also feel free to correct me. The KPIs thing is always a question mark. I have to dig into the instructions there. But as long as you create a consistent experience for the user and you're following the best practices that are outlined in the Digital Marketing Essentials courseware, I think you'll be okay. And that's kind of where I like to leave it, is making sure that you are using your personas and that, you're just kind of creating a seamless experience. You don't want to drive people to the wrong place. You don't want to write the wrong thing. And as long as you do that, you'll usually get some sales out of it.